Welcome! My name is Kelly.
And I'm Emma.
And I'm Nathan.
And this is Fanimated, an animation fan podcast where we get to geek out about our favorite animated media. And this week is part of the Fanimated Gift Exchange, in which I pair up my favorite Fanimated guests and let them choose the topic, and they make us watch their favorite weird anime, like this week.
This anime isn't weird. It's one of the best animes.
What are you talking about?
I chose an adjective, and apparently it was the wrong one. This week, our topic has been chosen by Nathan. So Nathan, what have you blessed us with your gift to us this week?
I have gifted Emma by giving her the gift of her favorite anime of all time, Fairy Tail.
Yay!
Woo!
Woohoo! And so
I gotta be honest, I was shocked.
What?
I thought, Nathan, that you were gonna find some way to torture me.
Come on!
Honestly.
So I was like, oh my gosh, he cares. He wants to talk about my favorite anime. This is so great. Wow.
Yes. This is a gift of, you get to do this podcast, Emma, right? And so that's the real gift. Because I know you've watched all 300 plus episodes of this anime, something I haven't done.
Multiple times.
But this is, maybe you don't know, one of my favorite animes as well. And so literally after Kelly and I had recorded our first episode together of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, she was like, "Hey Nathan, do you have any topics that you'd want to talk on the podcast with?" And I went, "Yeah, I'd love to talk about Fairy Tail." And Kelly went, "No, I have to talk about that with Emma." And I went, "Oh, okay." And so then I waited for the episode about Fairy Tail to come out. And it never did. Until now, here we are.
Here we are, folks.
We have arrived.
The future is now. You can blame me for never doing the Fairy Tail episode because I kept thinking, I'll finish the show eventually.
No. Finish it? How?
Kelly got lost in Edalus.
I did. I got not even halfway through. So that's where I'm at with Fairy Tail, everybody. And I honestly don't think I'm ever going to finish it.
And you know what? That's okay. It is still a great show, no matter how many episodes of it you have watched.
Yes. And if you ever need like a background anime, it's great to have. Like, just fun in the background. You know, except for the really serious arcs, then it might be a little like sad, but
those are few and far between.
It's classic shonen action adventure fun, and like it's honestly, yeah. I mean, it's so popular for a reason. Like it's just good. It's just good.
True dat.
So Nathan, because we're finally here, finally making this happen, thanks to you.
Oh,
please give us a brief synopsis of what is Fairy Tail.
All right. Fairy Tail takes place in a magical land full of wizards with magic powers, endless imaginable amounts of different magic powers. And the people that have those magic powers are wizards, and they belong to wizard guilds. And one of those wizard guilds is Fairy Tail. And so the whole show is following a core set of 4 of those wizards as they do good and save the day and thwart evil and eventually, you know, have all of their friends together to just have a good time. It's absolutely joyful and fantastic and silly and endlessly stupid and lighthearted, and there's no stakes, and it's a happy, fun time. Yes, favorite.
Yes, indeed. Oh my goodness. And so both of you have like histories with this show. So Nathan, where did you first watch it?
Yes. So I watched this anime as one of the first anime I've like ever watched in my life, and it was like literally the first anime like I liked, right? And like so watching into it, like growing up, I watched Pokemon, and some people argue whether or not that's an anime just because of how influential it is still in the Western culture. The next anime that I ever watched was Full Metal Alchemist, not Brotherhood, which is very confusing still and very strange, and I don't deal well with characters that look alike. So honestly, in general, both of those series are very convoluted in my head. And so I was watching that on Netflix at someone's suggestion. And so Netflix suggested, after I was done watching that, hey, maybe you like this anime as well. And I clicked on it and I loved it. It was fantastic. It was just silly and goofy. And it reminded you of like Saturday morning cartoons. And I watched every single episode that was on Netflix. And I went, man, what a great series. I'm so glad that that was done. And I had watched like 95 episodes, so many. And then years later, I figured out that was only a third of the episodes.
There's so much more, Nathan. So much more.
And so I watched a couple for this podcast, but in terms of my knowledge, it doesn't really go past that third season.
I have to say, Nathan, you should, if you ever have time, finish it because it is so good. Like, yes, you have your classic, like, repetitive cycle, but the way that these children grow and change is so beautiful.
All right, Emma. What's your history with Fairy Tail?
Yes. Okay, so Fairy Tail was also one of my first anime sans Pokemon. But so, like, in freshman year of college, I started with Oran, and had some Kami-sama Kiss and like a couple like shoujo. And then this was my first like shonen really that I got into. And I really loved it because it's just so fun and happy and adventurous, and it just makes me laugh so much. Like I'm just laughing out loud constantly because it's the classic like normal person Lucy in a chaotic world. She's like, what is happening? Why are you acting this way? Like, what is going on? Well, everybody is just like, let's burn down the mountain. Like, so I love that energy. So I like trekked through it first half of college, really. And at that time, not all the episodes were out yet. So I think it was still around like 300 though. So I trekked through it. And then there was just a day like second half of college, so maybe like senior year maybe, where I was just like, man, I miss Fairy Tail. I want to watch that again. So I started from the beginning and I just watched it gradually, and at that time the episodes were like almost all released or all released. I can't remember, but eventually I was able to watch all of them for the second time and more. So it's like, I think it's like 380 or 360, somewhere in there. But it was a joy to watch again. And it seems so crazy that I had the time to watch that many episodes twice. So for this podcast, I watched the first like 10 episodes just to get inspired. And it was so fun. I'm not going to do a rewatch though, because I ain't got time for that right now. But like, it's just seeing the characters at the beginning of their journey when I know where they go to. It's just like, oh, this is the best. So that is my experience with Fairy Tail.
Yes. And of course, my experience was simply Emma's my best friend. So, yeah. Of course, I was brought into the fold of the Fairy Tail Guild, and very happy to be there. So, of course, like, as you can tell, it is like a comedy. It is fun. It is silly. It is adventure. It is all things that are lovely and silly and fun about shonen anime. And the characters are ridiculous, and it's all just super fantastic. So, of all of these ridiculous characters, we have kind of like our main four. We've got our Natsu.
The Natsu Dragneel.
It's a Dragneel. Got some firepower. We've got Gray. Got some the rival to Natsu, the ice and everything.
Gray Fullbuster.
The very classic fire and ice rivalry before they were merged into Todoroki. They were separated.
Yeah.
Gray is your classic bad boy.
Typical. We have, as you mentioned, our somewhat more normal person, Lucy.
You said normal, and I was like, do I correct her now? Nothing about Lucy is normal.
Okay, but like comparatively to the other characters.
Comparatively to a normal person, she's not normal.
Okay, yes, but normal is different for everybody, Nathan. There is no such thing as normal. But in this world, like, her compared to the Fairy Tail Guild, she is more normal.
I suppose. But she also has, like...
Well, here... She has common sense, is what I'm saying.
Which is abnormal to the Fairy Tail Guild.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, there it is.
All right.
It.
We found common ground.
She's like, let's solve this problem. They'd be like, let's burn everything. Like,
yeah.
What do you mean my sword can't fix this?
Yes, because even, oh my gosh, Ursa Scarlet, also champion of my heart. Like, oh, love her. What I love is she's so serious and logical a lot, but she's still chaos. And she'll be like, I'm going to fight all these people with my million swords. And you're like, whoa, stop.
Yes. Our fourth main character is the best of the bunch. It's Ursa Scarlet.
Okay, we forgot to explain Lucy's magic, though. Lucy's magic is that she is a celestial wizard, so she has keys related to the Zodiac, which summon the Zodiac. Like...
Yes.
Taurus the bull, and Sagittarius a man dressed as a horse, and then a clock.
Yes, because there are the gold keys versus silver keys and things like that.
Yeah, so the magic is diverse, which is one of the best things about this show, but because it is so diverse, a lot of the times, they don't always make that much sense.
They don't make sense. There's no, like, real, true, deep lore magic system. It's literally just... This is cool. Let's do that.
I mean, it's kind of similar. Like, I hate making this comparison, honestly, but it's kind of like My Hero Academia, where the quirks are just all over the place. Same thing.
Yes, it is.
Magic is so diverse, and you're like, what? But, like, there are so many characters in Fairy Tail, and just in the guild alone, and not to mention all the villains and extra side characters and side quests and whatnot. So, like, there's so many weird magic powers, and then there's some people in the guild who are like, I don't even know what your power is because you just don't show it. Like, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but the guy who always looks at the bulletin board but never takes a job. Like, we will never know what his actual power is.
I'm sure there's a wiki out there that knows exactly what his power is, what his birthday is, what he ate for breakfast, and everything else.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, that's, another good thing about this show that I love is just like how many characters there are, and like, honestly, surprisingly, how many characters get a lot of screen time, and that you just like ultimately just love everyone in this guild. And it's your typical found family story, which I adore.
Yeah. I also appreciate that, yes, it is a shonen, and so you're going to have your classic cycle of, here's big bad, we go fight, we fight for 5 episodes or more, and then we win the day after the power of friendship.
Yeah.
Fantastic. What more can you ask for, Emma?
Right, exactly. But even though that cycle, is wonderful, it can get old after 360 episodes.
Are you sure?
Just a little bit, especially when, like, the fight lasts 8 episodes long. I don't know if you've gotten to that part, but
I did, and I fell off the bandwagon.
But what I appreciate is, like, for the most part, a lot of the arcs feel different enough. Like, they feel like their own story. There's a couple that are very similar of, like, here's a big bad, we're going after them. But there are some that are just really intriguing with backstory, and so I really appreciate that about this shonen. It's just like, it feels like I was able to keep going because of the story, even if there was that continuous cycle of like, oh, here we go again.
And the continuous cycle, right? Like, I think it works in this show because it's this great big epic fantasy world where, like, of course there's always another dragon or like, of course there's always another evil wizard, or of course there's always another weird job to do. I don't know. Like, there's always something going on in this great big magical world. And like continuing the My Hero comparison, just, you know, like My Hero, it gets old quickly because like there's this overarching political like drama, and it's like they need to keep moving that forward, otherwise it feels like stale, that they're just cycling through another villain instead of moving the bigger plot along. And in Fairy Tail, it's just like, no, we're just here to like, here's another crazy story. And it gets crazier and crazier and crazier the longer it goes. And it still works every time.
But like, here's the best thing is that it also stays the same. And so like, in preparation, you watched the first 10 episodes, Emma. I went and found a random like episode around 300 and was like, is it going to be the same or am I going to be completely lost? And here's the synopsis of the 3 episodes I watched. Lucy and Natsu are trying to find Gray because Gray has betrayed them. And so they enter a dark guild that Gray has been aligned with by sneaking in. And as soon as they sneak in, Natsu just starts screaming Gray's name. For him to come fight him. And so they're absolute idiots. Come fight! And so then they fight. Gray's got like wicked tattoos, crazy stuff. I'm like, man, I missed a lot. What is happening? Why is Gray evil? 20 minutes later, Gray's a double agent. Everything is normal. Ursa had the plan all along. They gotta go fight some people. I'm like, okay, good. We're back on track. This is classic normal stuff. They go. There's an entire army. The army is bearing down on our Big Four. The Big Four destroy the army.
Yes!
By themselves.
Because they can.
Because they can. In the most, like, fan servicey way possible as well.
Yes.
Of just, like, everything about this show is just fan service. It's amazing in all aspects of it. Of, like, they're just, like, costume changes. Ooh, look at me. But also, we're going to blow everything up and it's going to be awesome.
Right. Literally. That is literally the show in a nutshell.
Right. It's fantastic. Yes. And so so the show's going on, and so they're like, the army's trying to destroy this whole town so they can sacrifice everybody to the evil Lord Zareth, who's been around since forever. And so then they're stopping them and like beating all these people, and then the big leader's like, well, you have defeated my army. I will just sacrifice my army to summon Lord Zareth. I call down the god of war. And so then this giant monster from the sky comes down. And you're like, this is insane.
Isn't it the Celestial King?
I think they just named him like the war god. It might be mistranslation, but sure, Celestial King as well. There's a bunch of crazy things that happen, obviously, in the show. And so you're sitting there and like Gray is nervous, Lucy's nervous, Urza's nervous, and you're like, oh my god, what's going to happen? What's happening? Wait, where's Natsu? And then it shows a little speck running up the arm of the god. And you're like, is that Natsu?
Yep, yes, it is.
What? And so Natsu gets to the face of this giant who towers over him hundreds of feet tall and just punches him in the face and destroys him into little bits. This guy was...
He's always working on getting stronger and stronger and stronger.
This guy is literally shows up, it takes one step, gets just rocked by Natsu and just is disintegrated in one episode.
Natsu is my son. He is my son.
Natsu's absolutely amazing. And so they've won the day. Everything's great. And then they're like meeting up with all their friends again and being like, oh, you know, friendship is magic. And then someone's like, oh, Urza's coming. And then Gray and Natsu both go, Urza's coming, and are instantly scared. Natsu just defeated a god and is still scared of Urza.
So true. I mean, they had that throughout the whole show, but like even in the beginning first episodes that I was watching, like when they introduce Urza, she's coming back from a mission, and Natsu and Gray are like fighting each other in the hall, and they're like, "Oh crap! Oh no, she's coming!" Like, it's just so hilarious that they are so terrified of Urza because they have been growing up together their whole lives, and Urza has always like been the one to stop them from fighting, and she tortures them.
That is literally why Urza is my favorite character. That is one of the best introductions of any character. Like, everyone has like seen the anime intros of just like, oh, here comes the most powerful. Urza's the classic. Everyone is like sitting in the fairy tale tavern, just being like real nervous, like Urza's coming. Oh no, oh no. And you're like, who is this? And Lucy's sitting there just like, who is this person? Like, this must be a monster. This person must be terrifying. And then like a beautiful woman in armor comes walking in and is just like perfect hair, perfect everything, giant dragon tooth that a dragon she has defeated, slams it down, starts yelling at everybody, and then like meets Lucy and is just like nice to Lucy, and Lucy's just like, why are people scared of her? She seems nice.
Yeah, I don't get it. But then later on she realizes like, oh crap, she is scary.
Yeah. It's so good. And of course, like, it's just all of these, like, they have a lot of their classic, personalities, and then their classic relationships. And of course, it's the Natsu Gray rivalry that's just like the perfect, like, shonen anime rivalry that never stops. And they actually care about each other, but they're gonna fight no matter what. It's fantastic.
Like, oh my gosh, I love them. Like, one of the last episodes, they were going through a hallway and they're like came to two pathways and they're like, well, I guess we gotta split up. Well, I'll go this way. No, I'll go that way. And then they like start arguing and they're like, fine. And then they go separate ways and then they stop for a moment and they're like, don't die on me. Okay. And then like keep going and you're like, ah. I also love how like Urza is just like a mom to them because like that's just how they were raised. And so like anytime that like Urza's with Natsu, like, and he gets nauseous with transportation, like she will just like punch him to knock him out. So he's just like laying on her lap, knocked out, so he doesn't have to suffer. And Lucy is like, I don't think this is okay. Is this okay? Like once again, the one with the common sense is like, what is happening?
What's going on?
Oh, they're all just so fantastic, but I love Urza just like above all of the other characters so much. Like, she is the like the Gojo type character of just like endlessly powerful, like senpai leader kind of character who's like, I need you to help me save the world. But then it's just like also just saving the world and flawless in her own right. Like, her and Gojo are just like in this like unranked level of anime favorite characters for me. Of like, they're just so absolutely amazing. Like, I wanted to like, for people who are unfamiliar, Urza's magic powers are magical girl transformation. And so much like all the other ones of, Sailor Moon, Marvelous, She-Ra, where, they have a whole sequence and a transformation. But imagine at the end of Sailor Moon's transformation, she had 1,000 swords.
Yes, she has different sets of armor that she transforms into.
And so she's just like always got a new armor as well. Like, it's always kind of exciting to be like, oh my gosh, Urza busted out, regal knight armor or whatever it is. And then like every once in a while as well, it's always fun because she'll just be like, oh, here's my fancy dinner party out. And it's just like normal outfit clothes. Like, she just uses it as a wardrobe sometime. Like, they'll have a beach episode and then she'll just be like, what armor is that? And then like, it's a swimsuit.
She literally does not have to physically change because she can just magically change based on her wardrobe in her magic realm. It's crazy.
It's great. It's so fantastic.
I love it.
Yeah. And yeah, Urza's just amazing. And I love them all. Gosh.
Honestly, Natsu has a really special place in my heart just because he's so feisty and fiery and like so senseless. Like he just doesn't think the poor boy he is my son. Like he's just chaos and like just this fiery, I guess I can't really say redhead, he has pink hair, but
it's an anime version of redhead.
Right,
Yeah.
basically. And he just like acts before he thinks, and it's just precious to me because even though he has a lot of joy and he's just a very fun character, he also is filled with a lot of righteous anger, which I think is, makes him a little more well-rounded. But I just always loved him because he just makes me laugh, and I love his magical ability. Like just the fire dragon roar every time he says it, I'm like, let's go.
Yes.
But he's your classic anime boy who's like, I'm gonna keep training to get stronger and stronger until eventually like around like the last season he's like melting an entire stadium. It's
no
fine.
big deal. Yeah.
The boy raised by dragons.
Oh yeah.
I really like about Natsu as well. So Natsu's specific is he is a dragon fighter fire elemental. But like there's a specific variation of elemental magic users that are like dragon subset because they can consume their element to gain power. And so Natsu is always just like down on his luck, gonna get completely beat, and then someone like lights a match next to him and he eats it and he's like, all right, I'm fired up now. And he's just got the classic like, and then the classic fairy tale theme that's in like every episode of like, oh, it's gonna happen, like, and you get like the whole Pavlovian effect of just like, yes.
Oh yeah,
this is what we want out of anime.
Exactly.
So, to reference back, this magic ability is called Dragon Slayer magic.
There it is.
And we meet several Dragon Slayers along the way in Fairy Tail. And it's a very rare type of magic too, which makes it really cool.
Yeah, but like, and I like Gajeel out of all of those.
Oh my gosh,
Gajeel.
Oh, he's such a punk, but also a softie.
He's a villain turned ally story, and so I did get through that arc. So I got through the Gajeel arc.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
So
I love Gajeel.
He's so fantastic. But he is a steel dragon slayer, and so he's like taking bites out of metal and like has all of this like metal all around him and can control all this like Magneto style metal. And so like there's him versus Natsu is a huge battle of like, can Natsu heat up enough to burn the metal that Gajeel can form? And he obviously wins at the end of the day. But what I think is also very interesting though is that you don't need to be a dragon slayer for the elemental powers, because Gray, with all of his ice magic, is not a dragon slayer. He has he trains really hard with his ice magic to sort of compete with Natsu. He doesn't gain more power from eating ice per se.
Right.
And so it's like even within the specific like elemental style of wizards, there's still discrepancies and still nuance in all the like different wizard magic, which is super cool to me.
Yeah, because I think Gray's is called like creator magic because like he is creating things with ice. So it's really cool. And then also with like dragon slayers, there's also like hybrid dragon slayers where they're not raised by a dragon, but somehow they were given the elemental part at some point in their lives. So like in Fairy Tail, there is a lightning dragon slayer that's Loxus. And so he wasn't raised by a dragon, but he was given the power, and so he's a hybrid dragon slayer. So one of my favorite side characters that I want to talk about is Mira Jane. I love Mira Jane because she is, super cute and sweet, and she's like the face of Fairy Tail as far as like hospitality and things like that. She is constantly like running the bar and all that. But her power is so intense, especially in later seasons when she gets some upgrades. She is the cutest, sweetest, kindest button there is. And yet she turns into this frickin' demon. Like her hair's like all wild and she is like so dark and just, oh my gosh, it's so intense. And I'm like, this is the best irony ever. Like she's just so sweet in person, and then when her magic comes to life, oh my gosh, she is just a force. In fact, like her and Urza are like on the same level competitively. Like they've fought before and both have each won. Like they're both very intense. It's crazy.
The S rank wizards, or
Oh
whatever
yeah.
it is.
Oh.
S rank.
I love the JRPG elements. Like so much of this show feels like playing a video game, or like you get like you're in a guild and you got to take missions and you get little rewards and you power up and there's S rank missions for only the S rank wizards, and like it's so very cool. And that was like one of the first things that like I really gravitated to and really loved about this show, is that like it was something very, very new, but it also had so like many familiar elements that I've like experienced in like the video game space and like the nerdom space. Of like this is like so easily adaptable and so easily and accessible and enjoyable. Like you don't need to know a whole history of shonen or anime or a bunch of tropes or anything. Like you can just jump in. It's fantastic.
Right. And it's funny that there are like ranks in the Wizard Guild, and a lot of wizards are working towards that rank. But then you have other wizards like Lucy who are just trying to make rent. So like getting these random jobs, like, let's go on a job, please, because I need to pay rent.
I was going to say, yeah, I love that about Lucy. Like, everyone else has these, like, big, grand, like, motivations and dreams. And then Lucy's like, I want to pay for food.
Yep. It's true. I mean, part of that is because a lot of people live at the guild and she does not. So she has what we call boundaries.
And then Natsu destroys all the boundaries and just like shows up in her apartment constantly.
All the time. It's like, please, I haven't eaten in weeks. Just like, get out of my room. Oh, she's great.
I have a character that we need to mention that I'm surprised we're halfway through this podcast episode and we haven't mentioned him already. It's Happy.
I love Happy.
Happy is a cat.
Yes,
that can
a flying cat.
And flies. Yes.
And fly.
And Happy is played by Tia Ballard, which is one of my favorite English voice actors. So I love her. She's amazing. But Happy is just so fun. In fact, my ringtone is the Happy theme song. So there you have it.
I love that so much. Happy is just this blue, happy cat who is like Natsu's best friend / brother. And they're in it together and it's fantastic. Yeah. And Happy is just like the best like commentary on like Natsu being Natsu.
Yes. And I love that Happy is almost like the cute animal sidekick to the princess, right? But
wait,
Happy
is Natsu
definitely
the
has
princess?
Yeah, Natsu's the princess.
Natsu's the secret special princess.
He is. Have you not finished the series? Oh, I won't say anything. I don't know how many spoilers you want, but
hey, spoilers for the entire show.
Okay,
Emma, you really think I'm going to finish this one? There are a lot of episodes.
He's not a princess, but I'll get to that later. Anyway, okay. So Happy.
Suspense for later. Hold on, folks.
Anyway, so I love that Happy he has character development himself. Like the whole Edalus arc really is about him and his friend Carla. Ship those two. They're meant to be.
I was like, Fred? I'm like, Happy's got a girlfriend.
Yeah, but Carla is sometimes like, I don't know. Anyway, she's very, very serious and dramatic. But yeah, he has development and he gets to participate. Like he's always flying Natsu around, and like he has moments where he fails to, like he's like, I can't hold you any longer, I've flown so far. So I love that he has a lot of development, and I also think it's just freaking hilarious that so there are multiple cats with wings in the show, And all of the other cats have like normal cat faces and eyes, and Happy has like more cartoon eyes compared to the others. So it's just really funny to like see the comparison, because especially since the other two have learned how to transform into human versions of themselves, or like not necessarily human, but like human-esque body with cat-like face. They both Carla and Lily have learned how to transform into that. Happy has not, but nobody wants to see what Happy would turn into anyway.
He's too powerful. His human form would be too large. It would destroy the world and our galaxy as we know it.
Well, there was one time where Happy was a spell was cast on him and he grew like super huge, and then he ended up squishing Natsu with his foot.
I think I watched that episode. Yes.
Oh, it's so it's just, you could tell me any story arc and I would be like, not surprised. Yep, that makes sense that would happen.
Because anything could happen and it would fit great.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's wonderful.
Any ridiculous, crazy, yeah, all of it is so fun. So do you have any favorite episodes or arcs or anything?
I do, yes. I can't like say a specific episode because they all kind of blend together.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
But I definitely have favorite arcs. So, I mean, the last one is pretty awesome because it's just like the finale, even though it's so long with the battles, because it is like the end of the end of the end. It's like, this is where we wrap up the story, but it's going to take us 36 episodes to get there. But I really do love the Grand Magic Games. I know it's kind of like, that's very like classic shonen of like, okay, now this person battles this person. Okay, now this person battles this person. So you'd think it would be boring, but the way they tell the story and like the fights that they have were so fun that I loved that arc a lot.
Emma, everyone loves a tournament arc.
Well, some people are like boring, so I just needed to defend myself.
No,
so
I agree with you.
One.
I agree. Yeah, totally.
I do love that one. I also love the Eclipse Celestial Spirits arc, which is like obviously a lot of all of the celestial spirits are involved, and it's more of a Lucy arc where like all of the spirits have gone bad, and then like trying to figure out what happened and change them back. Like that one's really interesting because like I just love the celestial spirits. They're so interesting. But yeah, there's so many arcs. There's also one where like maybe it is the Eclipse one. I bet it's the Eclipse one or Key of the Starry Sky. I can't remember. Once again, they all blend together. But there's one arc out of those two where there's this big clock and they're running out of time with like the celestial gate open, and dragons are about to be unleashed into the world, and so they're like, what do we do? And Ultir, which is Gray's master's daughter, she's working with Jalal, who is now a good person. By the way, Jalal was once bad baddie. Now he's a good goodie.
So many characters.
We'll talk about that later. But anyway, so Ultir like casts this insane spell that causes her to like age like 80 years, but it only saves them like a minute of time. So she did the spell to go back in time because like people were killed in this big battle and everything went wrong, and doing the spell only went back in time for 1 minute, but it did save Gray's life in that 1 minute. So that was a very intense arc. I love that.
That's super intense. Jeez.
Yeah.
Nathan, can you remember any specific arcs or
no
episodes? No, they're all blurred together.
I mentioned Gajiel, and I'm like, Gajiel was dope. I think that was an arc, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, obviously, Edalus is stuck in my mind because that's the one that I got stuck on. But like, what I liked about that is that it's this whole other dimension, basically, where there are other like the opposite of their character
Right.
exists in this other place, right?
Yes. So like Natsu in this land is like super shy and timid and literally drives race cars, like even though he's motion sickness in the other world. Or like
Yeah, it's hilarious. And I love it. I love the like they meet their alternate selves, and it's like so funny, especially like speaking of like Natsu, and then you have the Edalus version of Lucy, like, and their dynamic is like the complete opposite.
Yeah. She's like super demanding and manipulative and like really BA, just in a bad way though. Like just like just very controlling and like I know what is going on here.
It's just so funny. And then Gray in the Edalus world like wears a whole bunch of layers of clothing.
Oh my god. We didn't even talk about that yet.
That's one of the best bits.
The best bits. And I don't know what the story behind this was, if it was always meant to be that way, or if there was just an animator or artist who just forgot to draw one day. But I love the trope that Gray, just like every episode, there's a moment where suddenly his clothes are gone. Like he has like boxers on, but like it's just like, Gray, your clothes, and he's like, ah, like he doesn't even realize they're gone. Like,
He doesn't. It just happens. Like what?
Like I said, this show is about fan service.
and he'll just like be talking so casually and not even realize that he's naked, and Lucy will be like, Gray, your clothes.
Oh my gosh.
And sometimes people act shocked of like, oh my gosh, and other times he'll be like, oh really, like just like so nonchalant.
I always thought it was just because he's an ice wizard, and most of his like bringing up and training was all in like the Arctic, where he was like meant to freeze constantly, and so he wasn't allowed to like wear warm clothes. So now his like entire body temperature is used to freezing temperatures. So whenever he's in normal temperatures, he's like, I'm way too hot, gotta take these off. That's like behind the scenes what I always envisioned happening.
Your head canon.
Yes.
That's my head.
But
They don't explain it.
Realize he does it though. That's the funny part.
But they don't need to explain it. That's the kind of show this is. We don't need a real explanation.
No,
it just is the way it is because it is.
Yes.
Okay, I have one more question. Okay, I need Captain Emma to give us a guided ocean tour of all of these little islands. I don't know.
That was beautiful. Kelly, I don't know what you're asking for, or do you know what you're asking for? Okay, there are a lot
don't
of
know.
ships
Should I
sailing
retreat?
this sea. Lots of ships, okay. And I don't think I can name all of them because there's just so many options.
Top
Okay,
three,
a lot of
favorite three.
Okay.
Yeah.
First off, to all those who are like, Natsu and Lisana, they're childhood friends. I don't care. Children grow up, okay? And they find you.
Okay,
love.
did you hear us last week
It's different, okay? It's different.
when we were talking about shipping 11-year-olds?
No, I'm a hypocrite, okay? I own that. So, Lisana, I'm sorry, you're cute, but no. Natsu and Lucy for the win every time. They're besties.
Yeah, clearly.
They're there for each other and everything.
For sure.
And it is definitely implied, like they wrap it up at the end that they got feelings for each other. Yay!
They do. Does that happen in canon?
Okay, here's the thing. So it's never as clear as we want it, right, as the fans?
Never.
But there is a line where it is very much implied that Natsu is about to say, I love you. But then it cuts to something absolutely ridiculous that he says instead. And you're like, and here's the thing. It is the very last line of the very last episode. And you're like, why would you do this to me?
Oh, that's just cruel.
No,
But
that is perfect. That is
they are at,
perfect
like,
for this show.
Before they have that moment in Lucy's apartment, they're like all at a dinner party, like celebrating the end of the battle. And Lucy's just like, oh, it looks like those two are like hooking up, and those two are like, she's kind of like laying out the ships that we've already been planning in our heads as fans.
Yeah.
But anyway, Lucy and Natsu, definitely number one in my heart. Oh gosh. Then I would have to say Gajil and Levi, They are so freaking cute.
Love
like
them.
Gajiel is just so intense and rough and blah, blah, blah. And Levy's just like really practical, like, you're an idiot. What are you doing? They're super cute. And it's really interesting because like originally when Gajiel was like, I guess evil, you could say, he had captured Levy and like was actually harming her, which is crazy to think how their story turned around and now like they're fighting together. But that's how the show works. So so I love them. And then oh gosh, I'm gonna say for my last one, I will say Gray and Juvia. They're just so cute.
Are they though?
They're pretty intense.
It's very cringe, but like in the later seasons, like they really grow to love one another, and it is so sweet. I know at the beginning it's like, Juvia, you are literally insane. What are you doing? Like, you know, she is quite intense in her love for Gray. But also the way that they first meet is super cute. They're in a fight, and she's got water powers, and he's got ice powers, and eventually, like, they're like standing across from each other, and she's just like, well, I guess you win. And she blushes and walks away, and Gray's like, wait, what? We're not even done fighting. What do you mean? Like, and it's like clearly she has a crush on him. It's so cute. I like them. They're not my absolute favorite ship, but I do love them a lot, and mainly because in the later seasons, you really see them grow together and look out for each other, and they do a lot of dual magic together, where you can hook up with another wizard and combine your powers in a spell.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really awesome to see how Juvia and Gray like combine their powers together and work together. So I think they're pretty sweet. But she's insane. We all know this. But
she is insane.
Remember,
and again,
Gray's
they're all
pretty...
stereotypical, like, you know, they just fill a stereotype, and she's her stereotype, and it's great.
But I also love how dramatic she is, because she's like the rain, you know, very gloomy sometimes. And it kind of reminds me of Over the Garden Wall with the poetry reading. Like she gets into those modes where she'll just like
it's a little word action.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we are I'm but a ship on the winding river.
Yeah.
Drifting away from where I want to be. Who I want to be.
Exactly.
Oh boy. I did watch one episode where they did their magic together, and it was very cool. I think the plot of that was Natsu was trapped in a giant metal dragon, and then they had to insult him to make him fired up so that he would explode the dragon from the inside.
Oh yeah. You know,
fire him up.
Even if I have forgotten story pieces, like whatever you say sounds quite believable, because that's the show.
That's the show. Yeah, like just wrapping up my thoughts, it truly is just like it's the Fairy Tale Guild is like, it's home, you know, like, and all these characters are just comforting and fantastic, because you know what you're getting into every time you turn this show on, and you're just like, I'm ready for whatever weird, wacky, crazy adventure they're gonna go on next, and it's just wonderful.
Yeah, they're just one big happy family, and it's just, they always stick together and stand up for one another. Like, family and the relationship that they hold together is their strongest power. I know, friendship wins the day, right?
Yeah.
But really, that's their driving force. Like, none of them are like, we want to get all the money and be super popular. And yes, they do want to be like the best guild in town, but like their ultimate goal is to like serve each other as family and be together. So I just think that's cool. Yeah. It's all the warm, fuzzy feelings.
We talk a lot about like getting into anime and starter animes. Like, this is like one of the animes that I would suggest for people to watch. Like, if you've never watched anime before, this one's like wild and crazy, but like it's happy and fun, and you'll get it. And like, there's nothing like super like confusing about it. Like, you will get this show very quickly and understand what it's about. And if you like that, there's 300 plus episodes of it. And if you don't,
Exactly.
well, that's anime for you.
There's an anime out there for everyone. So, but I would agree, this is a great place to start, honestly, or to try to get your friends hooked on anime. It is a good starter one, definitely. Last question. Because there are so many wild, crazy, different wizards in this show, whose power would you want?
Can I just pick Urza because she's my favorite?
Yeah. You want some magical girl transformations, Nathan? Sure.
Heck yes. I don't want to figure out what to wear. I want to magically transform and have 1,000 swords. It would solve lots of my problems.
That sounds like a good deal to me. Oh man. My first instinct is I want to be a fire dragon slayer because I am a firebender. That's just my personality, is who I am.
Yes.
But I do really like the celestial keys, that Lucy has. That's really fun. And also Mira Jane's demon transformation is just super BA, so that would be really cool too.
For sure.
Yeah, there's one other little side character that I really like just because he's one of those silly magician kind of guys, but he's like the French artist who can just draw stuff and it comes to life.
Yes.
But he's built like a canvas so that he can always draw on himself. And I just think it's really cool of both his character design and his choices and his wizard magic are all combined in a way.
Yes.
That's Ritus.
Mm-hmm. And so I know I can't draw, but it'd be cool to be able to draw and for it to be magic.
Yes, absolutely. I love that for sure. Yeah, it's hard to say because they're all super fun. But I would agree, the Celestial Keys, I think, are the most fun and interesting to me. And it's one of those interesting things too that so many of these powers are coming from different things, but hers is she literally can go out and find other keys. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of interesting. It's like a physical, tangible item, and not obviously she works hard too, but obviously not gray, a training out in the cold sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the practicality is more to your liking.
Although if you're someone who loses their keys a lot,
yeah, that's gonna be rough.
You're gonna have a hard time. Well, thank you, Nathan, for finally choosing Fairy Tale so that we could talk about it.
Yay.
It's truly a gift to everyone, so thank you.
Merry Christmas to me.
Yes, Merry Christmas, Emma. I'm so glad I got to also be on the Kelly and Emma Fairy Tale episode.
So glad.
You wormed your way into it.
Yes, I did. It took 2 years, Kelly.
It took
2 years.
I know. It's crazy. Okay, so we did it. We did it. We done did it. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Be sure to check out Fanimated on Patreon, because without those patrons, we could not make this show. So thank you to everyone who's over there, and you can hear lots of bonus episodes and occasionally vote for upcoming topics and all other super fun. You get the schedule. You get the schedule every month. I try to give you the schedule every month so that you know what's coming up next. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Fanimated Podcast to stay up to date with all things animated, and don't forget to leave a rating and review. The music is written by Jamie Krause, and the art is done by myself. You can find me on Instagram at CandorDraw. And of course, it is still the holiday season. It is still the Fanimated Gift Exchange. We are in the midst of it. So next week, there will be even more animation discussion with a new pair of guests and new topics. So you'll hear more from me next week. And in the meantime,
stay tuned
and stay animated. I used to have dyed hair. It was a mistake. We're not doing that again.
What did you have?
I had frosted tips in the 90s. Come on.
Shut up. You did not.
It was 2003.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
It was gross.